For many people in Taiwan, living alongside China's military and political pressure has become part of the everyday life. But beneath the headlines and attentions lies a question that affects millions of people. How do you secure your financial futures? We are joined by Lucy Liu, Associate Professor at Shih Hsin University. She has recently published a book on geopolitical risk and personal finance. Thank you, Professor Liu. It's nice to have you at our show.
Hi, nice to see you today, and I'm glad to share my thought to you and all the audience.
As someone born and raised in Taiwan, we are not unfamiliar with those geopolitical threats.
Yes.
We would like to know what motivated you to write this book now, and why this topic urgent now, and why do you think this matters to our audience?
Actually, I started to prepare for war since 2019, pretty early, right? So that's because at that time, Xi Jinping showed his determination to invade Taiwan. So this was my starting point. But at that time, we know nothing about modern war. So it's like we were navigating in the dark. So after the Russia-Ukraine war happened, then this provided us a real example of how the modern war looks like. So the first thing is Ukraine is similar to Taiwan in the sense of the social development. And also Ukraine use social media to make the war scenario highly visible to the world. And the third thing is Ukraine showed us an example of the asymmetric war. That's how to resist a larger authoritarian regime. So after that, I learned how to defend ourselves. So actually, for a civilian, we don't need to know how to use gun. Actually, no, our defense is try to survive under war, and at the same time, we try to make the society functionable. So this is our duty. So this is why I write this book. So it's for our survival, and also it's about our defense.
So when you talk about the function, we need to make the society function normally.
Yes.
So what's the first thing we should be thinking about this come to the financial health and financial security if we live in the region suddenly could become unstable?
Okay, so we can take Ukraine as example. So this is the fourth year of the war, right? And we still can buy coffee every morning in Ukraine, in the city. So this is a sign that the society needs to go on. But for financial system, we did see some disturbance in the financial function. So like in the early stage of the Ukraine war, there was a bank run and happening in Ukraine. So people were very nervous about their deposits. So they ran to the bank, try to withdraw their deposits. So this brought a disturbance to the daily transaction. And also you can see that the financials, the trade transfer stopped. So this was another disturbance in the financial system. So we need to be well prepared for those unexpected circumstances. So in my book, I tell people how to be well prepared. Like you need to prepare enough cash at your home so that you are not you don't need to go to the bank, or you don't need to worry about the ATM disruption. And also you need to be well prepared that the financial market or the financial system could be interrupted. So they could be stopped for like 1 week or 2 weeks.
Okay, so speaking about the preparation.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what's the main guiding principle that should always be at the front of our personal investment decision in uncertain time?
Okay, so I would say that the first thing is the diversification. So don't put all your eggs in a single basket. So that's the basic rule in the peacetime. And under the uncertainty, this is all the same. So you should diversify your portfolio into different industry, into different countries, and also into different targets. And so like you diversify your investment maybe in the US stock market and also in the Japan stock market. And also the most important thing is you don't need to transfer all your funds out of Taiwan. And because the war is uncertainty, there is the possibility that the war happen, but there is also the possibility that the war will not happen. So it's the most important thing because before people, some Taiwanese thought war is inevitable consequence. So they just transfer, they just move their money out of Taiwan. Then you can see that they just miss the highly growth of our stock market. So I think that's the first thing. You diversify your portfolio, but you don't need to transfer all your money out of Taiwan.
Okay, Lucy just mentioned that the stock market. We'll come back and talk about the stock market like later. And now I would like to know more when in natural disaster, we prepare an emergency kit. And from a geopolitical risk perspective, what should be in our financial emergency kit?
Yes. So everyone knows the Little Orange Book, right? The government just issued the Little Orange Book last year, and but it's for the emergency kit. But for financial emergency kit, and the first thing you should prepare some cash, and the cash maybe is in New Taiwan dollars and also some foreign currencies. So it could be US dollars or it could be Japanese yen. And the second thing is you should have more tools other than cash, such as the Line Pay, Apple Pay. Those digital payment instruments that could be very useful because if the cash doesn't work, then you need the other instruments to facilitate your daily transaction.
Okay, Lucy, you mentioned in the book that battery, power banks, and alcohol, and even also the diaper could be the valuable exchange item during the instability. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes. So this is for the extreme case that our currency depreciate a lot. So this is the thing that is happened under war, in a war. Like the currency means our government authority. So when our government is attacked, then that means our currency is attacked. For example, like a Ukraine currency depreciates like 80 or 90% so far in 10 years. So in this case, sometimes you need alternative currency to facilitate your daily transaction. So the alternative currency like could be foreign currency for sure, but some materials it works well as the alternative currency. So like for example, like alcohol, and because it has the real value. Like we can use alcohol for some medical condition, and also it's a durable good. It will not perish in a few weeks, and also it's standard. Like one bottle of alcohol and the second bottle of whiskey, so it's standard. So durable, standard, and it is valuable. The three things contribute to the then they can be the alternative currencies. So for the same thing like battery, they also has the same characteristics.
So let's shift the discussion into the investment asset, and we'll start the precious metal.
Yeah.
Gold has long been viewed as a safe haven, but after reaching record prices, despite continued uncertainty with the Iran war, gold is coming off those highs. So is gold still a safe bet in uncertain times?
Okay, so from 2022 to 2025, we can see that the gold price like rise, it's increased like 300% almost. So because of the great increase in price, so we can see that in the beginning of this year, the gold price dropped. But I would say that gold is still a good risk hedge in under the uncertainty. So we can still expect that the gold price could move upward. And the second thing is maybe we can pay more attention to silver. So silver is also a good hedge in investment, but more than gold, silver can be the good material for energy industry and also the modern military industry. Silver also has the real demand under war. So that could also push the silver price to another peak.
And in your book, you also mentioned because the silver price is relative much lower than the gold, right?
Yes, during the peacetime.
Okay, so there will be a possible start
Yes.
to with. Okay,
Yeah.
so in May, let's talk about the stock market. You mentioned earlier in May, Taiwan stock market overtook India to become the fifth largest equity market in the world, and following the U.S., China, Japan, and Hong Kong. What do you think about this development? And given geopolitical risk, should we continue to put the money in it?
Okay. So actually the Taiwanese stock market has gone crazy recently, right? But it's driven by the AI, the AI revolution, artificial intelligence. And the AI revolution is not only the technology innovation. Actually, it will reshape the global industries and the global economies. So actually the investments, the money all over the world need to reallocate. So Taiwan is the core, is the center of the AI revolution. So the money from all over the world push our stock price. So I would say that we have the fundamental industry potential behind our stock market. So I am still very positive on our stock market.
Beside the stocks, and let's talk about the bonds.
Yeah. So for bonds, it's an interesting question because people always think like bond is a safe investment, but actually it's not. So if there is more uncertainty, especially the war risk, then it will bring more default risk to the bonds. But for bonds, now they have greater opportunity to default. But the war also brings some opportunities to the companies, such as the demand increase, or in the end of the war, there could be a economic recovery. And for bonds, they cannot benefit from those demand increase on the war or the economic recovery after war. So bond is not that attractive relative compared to stock. So it's tricky, but during war or under the war risk, you can see that stock markets outperform the bond markets.
Okay, so that's why when we see the stock markets go high and then bonds become volatilized.
Yes.
So, and when the war happened, then bonds start depreciated.
Yes.
So in a good time,
Mm-hmm.
bonds could be one of the good option.
Yes.
Then. Okay.
But for there is the uncertainty, then bond, the bond suffer greater risk, but they don't have the same potentials to appreciate just like the bonds. And the other thing is bond is a fixed income payment. And the fixed income payment will suffer under the inflation era. And war usually bring inflation to the economies.
Okay, so let's talk about the housing prices.
Yeah.
The housing prices in Taiwan remain very high. And given the high costs, it's still feasible to invest in the real estate market in Taiwan?
Yeah. So actually, the real estate market is not that good in recent 2 years because because the government policy, so like the credit policy in Taiwan, or they don't support the real estate market. But we can think about the inflation risk. So just like what I said, war usually bring inflation to the economy. So under inflation, usually the real estate is a good instrument to hedge. So when there is the inflation, and usually the land or the house, the price can be adjusted to the inflation. So the owners are fine. And the second thing is war will end. Usually people think war is the end of the old life, right? But for economists, we just take war just like actually it's a short-term shock to the markets. And when war came to the end, and you can see that people start to rebuild everything, and you will need the land or the real estate to recover. So in the sense, the real estate still has the real value. So it could be it still can be a good investment under war.
And actually, in your books that you mentioned Ukraine as an example, saying that the housing price actually is gone up after the war.
Yes. So actually, that's the case happened in Kiev, in the capital. It's not on the front line. So people all over Ukraine just came to Kiev. So there is a high demand of the real estate. So the real estate, the house, the land in Kiev, the price increase.
In that case, is it more resilient to invest in the urban area rather than the rural ones?
That's an interesting question. I would say that so in Taiwan, you should invest in safe area. So in safe area sometimes is in rural area, sometimes is in urban area. So things will be different. And I would say that to avoid buying house on the red beach. The red beach is where the PLA can land easily. So avoid buying house or living in those beach area. And the second thing is, so airstrike is highly possible under war. So try to avoid those area to those airstrike targets.
Next, let's talk about the prediction. In your book, you highlight the importance of the interpreting financial sector signal to manage a geopolitical risk. Can you elaborate more on this?
Yes, so there are two signals we can pay attention. So one thing is about the military signal. So actually we can observe by the satellite, like if there is a large scale mobilization of the Chinese military, especially the concentration of the ground force. So if you observe such a large scale concentration, then this is a very clear signal of the military movements, actually they need like 1 or 2 months to concentrate the force. So actually you have time to be prepared, like 1 or 2 months. And the second signal is about the Chinese holding of U.S. Treasury. So China buys a lot of U.S. Treasury, and if the war happens, then U.S. can stop repaying the debt to China. So if China wants to start the war, they need to sell the treasury before the war happens. So actually this is the signal we use in financial industry. So if the Chinese holding of U.S. Treasury is below 300 billion, then we will say that, okay, it's a very clear signal. But I want to emphasize one thing as modern war develop very quickly. So we cannot wait for a clear signal to take action. We need to be well prepared before any signals.
And you also mentioned in the book that focus on the signal related to the tension in Taiwan Strait from April to October.
Yeah.
What made this time frame so significant?
Okay. So actually the season is because of the climate. It is very difficult to cross Taiwan Strait. So any military actions on the straits will highly depends on the climate. So from April to October, the sea is calm. But from November to the next March, the tide and also the wind will make any military action very difficult. And from April to June, then that will be a window. And from July to August, there are a lot of typhoons, so that could be fine because it's the typhoon season. But when the typhoon season ends, from September to October, it's another dangerous window. So I remember that the Wall Street Journal has a report last December, and it described the any military actions on the Taiwan Strait would be the most difficult actions in human history.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yes.
The what a relief.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so we are about to run out of time. So for the last question, if you were advising a young or beginner investor today, what should they do to have a financially secure future?
Yes. So for young people, maybe you are just at your starting point to build your own career and your own wealth. The first thing is I will say that resilience depends on your health. So to invest on your physical health and also the mental health, that would be very fundamental. That's the basis of all the financial or all your financial resilience. And the second thing is try to keep your liquidity. So like for young people, maybe you still have some debt, like from your for universities debt, or the other maybe you have some debt to buy the house. And actually under the war uncertainty, you don't need to repay your debt as soon as possible. No, because if there is some currency depreciation or inflation, then actually you will benefit from your debt because your debt is a fixed payment. So if the money depreciates, actually you don't need to repay that much. So try to keep liquidity, and you don't need to repay your debt very quickly. Just meet the legal requirements, and the cash, like try to build your own emergency fund, like for your 6 months life expense. and that could support your life even under any disease or some disasters or anything unexpected. And so I think that is my advice. More important than finding a good stock or finding a high return investment.
Okay, thank you, Professor Lucy Liu.
Thank you so much.